Hey, badass business owner. Welcome back to the show. Today is Thursday. It means we're going to talk about knowing your business numbers. And today I want to talk about your average ticket and how you can use it to help you break down any sales goal that you have. The thing I hate is when people randomly pick a sales goal out of thin air. And they're like, oh, I'm going to do $50,000. I'm going to do $75,000. I'm going to do $100, whatever. But what they do is they pull a number out of thin air and then they go, well, I'm absolutely going to be able to crush this. And then they work to do it and they miss it. And part of the reason they miss it is because they never had a plan how they were going to do it. First, they never validated it, and then they never figured out what it is they needed to do in order to make that a reality. Because I'm all about having stretch goals, challenging yourself, but at the same time, having a plan of how you're going to do it. Now, let me show you how your average ticket is going to be able to help you out. It's a very powerful weapon that a lot of people don't realize they have. Now, we're going to use 3 different price points in our examples because everybody's business is a little bit different. So we're going to have one that's a low $7 average ticket, one that is $35, and we'll do one that's $120. Now, I know there's some of you guys out there that have, $1,000, $2,000 tickets, but it's the same exact thing that you're going to do. But we're going to take these 3 little businesses and we're going to say, hey, if this is your average ticket, then let's use it. Now, for those of you that may not realize, your average ticket is basically your customers and your total sales. So if you take your total sales and divide it by the number of customers you have, it comes out to your average ticket. Because in most businesses, you don't just sell one thing, you sell multiple things. So you should always know what your average ticket is, because your average ticket, once again, is just your sales divided by the number of customers who made up those sales, and that's going to give you your average ticket. So when I say $7, more than likely it's probably a mom and pop kind of place. It's probably a small brick and mortar. Some food places are like that. My ice cream shop was around $7 because ice cream is not obviously typically going to run much higher. You got a lot of little sales with a lot of big sales. It might be $7. Might be $10, something like that. If you are somebody that's a service-based business and maybe all you do is one thing and it's $35 every time you do it, it might be $35 or $50, something like that. And then obviously someone who might have $1,000 sale with some $50 sales, their average ticket might be that $120. So you can kind of see, whereas a painter might be $2,000, $3,000. So figure out what your average ticket is. You can do it by month. You can do it by year. Sometimes you should know 2 numbers. You should know your yearly number, but you should also know your monthly, because not all months are created equal. For some of you, you might have a higher ticket average during, say, the summer months, but yet it's lower in the winter months, or vice versa. So you should always know what your average ticket is. Now let's take this average ticket now and our sales goal, and let's kind of put the 2 together. So let's take $50,000. That's the number of sales that we're that's our target. Okay. Our goal is to target $50,000. So if we are the $7 business, we're going to take that $50,000 and we're going to divide it by that $7. Well, what that tells us is we need 7,143 customers in order to hit our sales goal. Well, sometimes that can be very overwhelming, going, oh my gosh. Now we're going to pretend the 50,000 is in 1 year. More than likely, your sales goal is going to be bigger than 50,000 for the year, but I'm just going to use it for our example. So we know that if it's 7,143 customers in a year, what is it that we need for a month and a week? Let's keep breaking it down. Well, if we divide it by 12 months, that means we need 595 customers a month. Okay, it's starting to become a little bit easier for me to get my arms around what I need to do. And let's say I work 50 weeks out of the year, 50 out of the 52. Some of you it's 52 weeks, but we'll just use 50 for our math today, which means we need 143 customers a week in order to hit our sales goal. So you can see we went from 7,000 customers down to 600 customers, basically down to 143. Much more manageable, because now I can put a plan together to say, how am I going to get 143 customers a week? Now, if you're 50,000, let's go to the next person at 35,000. Let's say, once again, same 50,000. So the 50,000 divided by the 35 is 1429. So I have to get 1,429 customers in order to hit that 50,000 goal. But if I break it down by month, it's 119. And if I break it down by week, I only need 29 customers. Well, now that starts to feel a little bit easier, and you can go crazy. You can break it down by the day. If you're 5 days a week, then that's 6 customers a day. Is that doable? What has to be true? If you're only helping 2 customers a week right now, or 2 customers a day right now, and now all of a sudden you're supposed to jump to 6, well, you know what? There's some things that probably have to change in that business in order to make it happen. This is why breaking those numbers down really help you out. And same thing, let's do the 120 really quick. 50,000 divided by the 120, 417 for the year, 35 for the month, and 8 jobs a week, which means doing what? 1.5 customers a day if you're working 5 days a week. So can you see how just you taking your dollar average and your ticket average and dividing it into your sales goal is going to give you some numbers that are a little bit more manageable. But what may seem on the surface as a low number, like we did with that 29 jobs, but when you start looking at going from 2 to 6 a day, or from 3 to 6 a day, or whatever the case may be, you're going to have a plan in place, because sometimes it's going to go, wow, okay, that's totally doable. I can do that. This is what I need to do. I can put my plan together of how I'm going to do it. Whereas if it seems like a really big stretch, I may have to go back and look at my goal again, because am I realistically going to go from 2 to 6? Is it more realistic for me to say I'm going to double the number of customers? I think I can go from 2 to 4. Well, if you go from 2 to 4, you can work that same calculation backwards, because now you can take 4 times that. I think that example was $35. I could take that 4 times the 35 to figure out my daily, and then times the number of days I plan to work, 6 or 5 or 6, or I don't want you to pick 7, 5 or 6. Then I can multiply it by the number of weeks I plan to work, and now I can work my way up, and I might find that my goal really is about $40,000, not $50,000. But the average ticket allowed me to go down and then allowed me to go back up. Hopefully you can see the difference in that. Also, you can use this average ticket by month like we talked about earlier, because we'll just stick with the $35 person. Let's just say in June, typically you're going to do 10 grand in June, but yet only 3 grand in January. So that's going to be 2 totally different number of customers that you're going to need during that time frame. Because if you're doing 10 grand in June, divided by that 35, because we're going to take our dollar average, right? Take our sales divided by our dollar average, tells us we need 286 customers. Well, in January, if I only do 3,000 in sales divided by that same dollar average, I need 85 customers. See how that works? But it may be that my dollar average is 40 or 45 in June, and in January it is lower. It is 20 divided by those numbers, because sometimes it's going to change. It's all different. It depends. For example, a landscaper who does a lot of hardscapes during the certain times of the year, their dollar average is going to be very high. Whereas if they're only mowing or plowing snow as a secondary thing, it's going to be much lower, because that's a weekly service. So you're going to, maybe at 1 month, it might be as low as $50 that you're dividing it by, whereas opposed to other months, it might be $2,000, where your yearly average ticket might look a little weird because it might say $1,000, because it's combining the 2 extremes. So it's important you know that breakdown by month as well as by year. But hopefully you can see that by taking that average ticket with your total sales, what your goal is, it's really easy to come up with new goals that you can do, and you can test your goals. So now next time you pull a number out of thin air of what you're going to do in sales, all right, you can call it an educated guess, but it is still a stretch. What you can do now is you can at least use the math to be able to figure out what do you have to do specifically, and is that realistic? What has to be true in order to make it work? I do understand most of you, 50,000 is a low number. Okay, some of you it might be on target, but for some of you, you're doing 300, 400, 500,000 in sales. You need to do this exact same exercise. The only difference is you might have zeros on the end. Okay. If you have 300 customers a day in your store, then obviously that number is going to jump to 8,000 customers a week divided by that average ticket. So It just depends. Everybody's business is a little different, but the math is still the same. The way you go about it is still the same. You take your total sales divided by your total customers. It's going to give you that average ticket. And then you take that average ticket and you plug it into your new one and try to figure out how many customers it is you need to do. So you're just switching it around. You're taking your sales divided by the average ticket is going to give you the customers. I know that's a lot of numbers I've thrown out to you today. I'm going to go ahead and actually work on a video to try to help with this. But the main thing is, as you're putting sales goals together and as you're coming up with plans, make sure you're using this easy calculation to figure out what it is that you need to do, because now you can put a plan together. Because if you're going to jump from 30 customers to 40 customers, what has to be true? How are you going to get those 10? If you do what we said in the last episode, you're going to work on how are you going to get your past customers to help you create some new customers. If you're going to go out and get new customers, then what's your plan to get those 10 new customers? Because now you have a target. Now you have a number of what you need to do to be able to achieve that. All right, with that, I am rattling, so I am going to go cut this one down now, and hopefully it's giving you some food for thought. Run the numbers. It's really easy to do. I promise you will not regret it. All right, with that, before I go, I want to thank you guys for all of the love you have been showing me in reviews and emails that you've sent and everything else. I am so glad this is helping you with your business, and I look forward to continuing to produce more podcasts and even more expanding the YouTube channel. I really want to try to come up with ways to help you guys run better, smarter businesses, because you guys bust your ass every single day, and it's important to me that you make as much money as you can possibly make. All right, with that, I am definitely out of here. And if you don't forget, if you want to learn your business numbers better, we do have the Know Your Business Numbers course to help you. It's pretty cheap for what I could be charging for it, but I just want to be able to help as many people as I can learn their business numbers. There's a link in the show notes. Once again, knowyourbusinessnumberscourse.com. All right, with that, I am out of here. Bye for now. Hey, before you go, if you're looking to learn more about your business numbers, then check out the Know Your Business Numbers course, where we take a deeper dive into the key numbers, the calculations, the reports that will help you take your business to the next level. My mission is to help everyone love their business numbers. Yes, even including those of you that hate math. So much profit is hidden inside of your business numbers, and I want you to create some awesome profits. So check out the link in the show notes or head on over to the knowyourbusinessnumberscourse.com. Once again, knowyourbusinessnumberscourse.com. Come join me. Let's go ahead and work on building your profits.